Hey guys and girls, White Ninja Art here today, bringing you the skill tree guide and the development and how Stardew Valley leveling system works and how it sort of progresses throughout the game. Now this is particularly important, especially for something that I have missed, but I have worked out how it works, and stuff for like getting extra hardwood and things like that for those who are struggling. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through each skill tree set. Just brief description on each one and sort of guide you guys on which way you should be taking and what you should be taking. So the first one we're going to start off with today is foraging. Now foraging is by far the most important one, I would say, and the reason for this is with the hardwood lumberjack upgrade. Now as you progress throughout the game doing foraging things, stuff like collecting goods, breaking down trees, stuff like that, you will level up. Now when you hit level 5 you will get a choice of either being a forester or a gatherer. Now these are both important, however selecting the correct one is key to be able to develop further on when you hit level 10. Now when I first chose this I didn't realise that one skill tree set would then develop into another later on. So if you pick Forester, later on you can pick Lumberjack and Tapper. If you pick Gatherer you can then pick Botanist or Tracker. Now at the time Gatherer was by far the best choice, getting double harvest from forage items. However that then put me in the awkward situation of I could not select Lumberjack. Lumberjack being the one that you want. So once you start progressing through 1, 2, 3, 4, get to 5, take Forester. Obviously you don't really sell wood, so it's not a massive problem. However that does mean you can then select the Lumberjack perk, which is key to be able to get some hardwood. As you progress through you do get some items as you carry on, so I think the only one that's actually really worth getting or worrying about is probably the lightning rod. The lightning rod develops into battery packs, which is useful for some quests and some items that you'll need for later on. The warp totems, are probably not really that interesting, but the foraging, the level perks are by far the best ones, and I would recommend going Forester and Lumberjack. On to the second is mining. Now mining comes with the perks of either being a miner or geologist, so picking this is it's not as important in this anymore. However I would recommend going for a geologist, and then geode find doubled. The reason I say doing this is the geodes give you special gems. They can also give you artifacts, and just give you some rare materials that you can't get from other places. There's a good chance that you will not sell your metal bars because you will need them. Okay, coal find doubled, not too bad. However it's pretty easy to be able to generate coal anyway. So if I was you I would pick a geologist, and then going for the double geodes. In this leveling system, the only one that's actually any good is this, the Crystallarium. I can't pronounce that properly. But basically what this does is any gem that you put into this will generate indefinite forever. So if you need quartz, put one in there and I think you generate between 1 or 2 a day. If you want something more valuable like diamonds, it takes a couple of days to generate one. However this is a really important item later on, which means you don't have to go and farm for loads and loads of different items that you'll need. So in this tree, geologist, an excavator, and level 9 is probably the best item out of them. The next one we're going to go into is the farming. So the farming is generated with things like crops and stuff like that. So basically just generating crops, and as you progress through the game obviously this is going to be your key or your main source of income. So as you develop so as you progress, crops are going to be by far the most that you'll do. As you progress on I would very much recommend taking tiller. Crops are worth 10% more, which obviously is fantastic. then as you progress further on, you'll want to go for obviously a 10% faster agriculturist. So all crops grow 10% faster and are worth 10% more, so that means you can just generate an absolute ton of gold. To be honest, the rancher is not really that good. Where the animals produce 10% more, not all that good. Befriending animals quicker doesn't really make much difference. Then you have a choice really. You can either get coop animals or barn animals, so really you only have a choice of actually producing not a lot. So wine, cheese, oil, etc. worth 50% more. Probably still not worth it, if not for the speed that you can generate, because this can really make it so you get one extra harvest every season, which is quite a lot really. When you look at if you have something like a 30,000-40,000 pound gold intake on per harvest, so that's a really big generation of gold, that is anyway. As you progress through the levels, Scarecrow early, not bad because you need it for your crops, not overly important though. Nothing important on these, to be honest, because you can all make all these as you go ahead anyway and progress. Preserves jar, that's not too bad because you do need to get some jam for one of the community chests, community quests I suppose. You also need a loom to get cloth, so that's another one. And I think you do need cheese for something as well. Oil maker and keg can be used. That one is for truffle oil, and the keg is for beer. They're for quests. The best one by far is the Iridium sprinkler. They are very, very expensive to make in game because you need iridium bars, which is hard to come by until later on, like really, really later on. So definitely Iridium sprinkler is the one to go for. Obviously you're going to get it anyway, and the seed maker is not too bad actually. You can basically means you can get free crops, so on crops that generate multiple crops, so things like potatoes or cherries, things like that, means you can make multiple of them without having to pay for them more. Okay, the next one we're going to go into is fishing. I think this is the one I have not leveled up that much. However, not too difficult to work out. Basically, as you go through the game, you'll do fishing to be able to acquire fish for the community centre. You'll gain yourself a recycling machine. The recycling machine will generate stuff like newspapers, broken glasses, broken CDs. Put them in there, and it gives you usable items out. As you progress through, you have the choice of being a fisher or a trapper. So the fisher will basically make your fish worth more, so overall it'll be 75%. Or you can take being a pirate and get a treasure chest chance doubled, which can be really, really useful because there is an item that actually makes it so you can collect treasure chests. I think it's a ring, I believe, where, oh no, it might be a bait. Not a bait, like a hook or lure. So basically when you collect treasure chests, the fish can't escape, so that's important. So that could potentially be quite good because, to be honest, I don't see many people wanting to fish to actually sell the fish. It's just not worth the time for the money that you actually generate off it. Becoming a trapper, you get crab pots that can catch trash, or never catch trash, sorry, so you always get a crab of some sort. Or you can be a lore master where you no longer need to put bait in them, you just leave them, and basically you can just constantly generate. It does mean you have to constantly go down to the sea or to wherever you need to go, so it's not really useful. I'd probably say, if anything, pirate's probably the best one. Out of the items that you can get, the worm bin's probably one of the best, which basically indefinitely gives you bait, so you don't have to actually buy it. It just means fishing becomes a lot faster. Okay, so the last slide, just checking out if how many is left, is combat. Combat's actually a rather good one. You get different attributes and some really decent ones as well actually. Now this all depends on how you want to play and all throughout your fighting style game, I suppose. So if you become a fighter, you get all your damage is increased by 10%. You grab yourself 15 extra life, which then puts you into the fighter tree. And by doing that, you can either go by 15% increased damage further, or you can take an extra 25 life. So basically, you can either go a safe bet or an extra damage bet. Or the other one is Scout, where your critical strike chances increase by 50%. That means that your special moves are cut in half, or you can have your critical hits are deadly. Now, I would recommend, or I have gone, Scout with 50% in crit, and then I'm not level 10 yet, but I will be going critical hits are deadly. It basically means that I'm guessing is your critical hits will either instantly kill or do massive amounts of damage. So that is definitely the tree I would go. However, if you just like the continuous max damage, then Brute is obviously the one to go for. This is more personal choice on how you like to play, so that's something that you will want to have a look at yourself. So within the levels, as you progress through the levels, I think the ones that are actually worth going for, the slime press is pretty good, and once you get a slime castle, I think it's called, I can't remember the exact name, you can start generating slimes and get an infinite slime amount, where the slime incubator comes in at level 8. The Iridium Band, I can't remember exactly what it does, but I know it is good. I think it just gives you different attributes. However, I know it is good, I can't remember the exact attributes it does. But if anything, definitely go for, well, I've gone for Scout, and I will go for critical hits are deadly. Okay guys, that's just a little run through of how the skills work and how as you progress through and what selections you should possibly take. Once you do select them, you cannot change them back. I'm guessing if you go into the game files and change the actual attributes in the game files, you probably can change these things. However, I don't recommend doing that just in case you corrupt your file. Okay guys, I hope you've enjoyed this this guide on the skill leveling tree, and I'll see you next time for some more gaming videos.